Morgan. Oh my gosh, you guys, so many fun things. But let's just introduce my guest right away. 3, 2, 1, give it up for Blake Haynes from Ozarks Live.
Yeah.
Okay, so Blake, this is gonna air, and this is like post-pod. There's so much to talk about. One minute talk about you. It's post-pod party, which I will talk about on solo pod. But Super Bowl, we'll get to that later.
Yes.
But Blake, you are a host on Ozarks Live.
That's what they say anyway.
And that's what they say.
No,
that's what
kidding.
you are,
Yeah.
because all my people know that we were on there together.
Yes, we were, yeah.
We have an interesting story on how we met.
Yeah.
Well, when I first met Blake, I was like sliding in a lot of DMs of people that I thought were really cool in Springfield and being like, hey, do you want to do a podcast together? And we had chatted, and unfortunately...
So I was at the bottom of your list, and you're like, okay, my last-ditch effort here.
You were not at the bottom, but unfortunately I just kind of fell off.
No, she ghosted me. Let's make this clear.
Because my listeners know that I really am against ghosting, and I really, it was not intentional. Like I remember the pot party happened last year, and then I got a new job, and then, you know, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, and it just like never, my defense, you never followed up, but.
Whoa, because you don't want to come off as desperate, you know?
No, I get that. I get that. But yeah, but I'm glad it worked out because gosh, like a year later, you had just reached out to me, right? Was there conversation? Did we have any conversation beforehand or no?
No, I don't think so. I just reached out to you because
I love that though. Like my listeners know that I like love random moments.
Yeah,
love it.
well, and I'm sure we'll get more into this, but like on my show that I host, we're always looking for new content featuring people, you know, locally and their stories and whatever's like just, you know, good highlights of the 417. And so I was thinking about you because I was wanting like new content post New Year, and I was like, you know, I wasn't on the pod, but that's okay. But I was like,
he's on here now, baby.
Right,
you know the vibes.
Right. So, and anyway, so I was like, it would be so fun to have you on. And then, the specific week I was looking to have you on, I was also looking for a guest host, and I was like, wait, let's just do this all at once. Yeah. And so then you came in, and then we met, and it was honestly so fun. I will say this is not just me like trying to like boost up Morgan for her podcast.
He totally is.
When we met, it was like we have been friends for 10 years. I'm so serious. Like we just connected.
And he was like, "What are you wearing?"
No, but I actually loved her jacket. Shout out Love Brand.
Thank you so much. Love Brand. Look at the neck. No, I completely agree because I walked in. First of all, Eva showed up and like a quick pause. Gotta give a shout out to my dad for these mic stands. Yeah, Dad.
No, yeah, Dad. I'm loving these.
Yeah, Dad. Because he just ordered these for me out of the blue. Talk about we love you, Dad vibes. Yeah. But yeah, so Blake was like, here's the location. You know, it was like this like deal going on. You know, like okay, like show up here at this time. We're like okay, and me and Eva, because she's my number one, right? And she was gonna help with like just behind the scenes content. So we both do not know where we're going. Eva shows up, and I remember Blake was like, is this chick trying to fight Morgan? Like, does she have enemies showing up to the location, right?
No, I was like a little bit scared for you because, this girl had just shown up. And first of all, if you ever been on the show, you know that like there's very specific instructions we give to people. And so, but it was different because you were guest hosting. And like, but it was weird this specific day that you were there because we had a bunch of guests on the show and everyone was coming from like different directions instead of this like one specific door that we have people come to.
Yeah.
So someone else that works with me had brought your friends to the office, and then she's just like sitting and looking at me and she's like, I'm looking for Morgan. And I'm like, I don't know y'all like that, so I'm not about to tell you where she's supposed to be. So I was like, I don't know who you are.
It's like very real of you to be like, I'm not gonna let you like beat up this chick.
No,
right?
Not on my watch. My reputation's on the line. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no.
No, but Eva and I were on the phone. I'm like, I don't know where to go. She didn't know where to go. She's in there, and then so we.
Our building is very confusing. The listeners should know that it's very confusing.
It literally kind of is. Like,
it's
have you ever been to like a Ripley's, like Believe It or Not, or?
Yeah, I feel like I have. Yeah.
That's
maybe I was a kid.
It was like a museum.
No, our building is so confusing. It's because it's super old, and so it kept getting like built on, and so that's why like the building makes no sense.
But it's cool though. It's definitely it's a super cool vibe to be at. Yeah, it was so cool just to be a part of. So again, like, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
You know, no, but Eva was cool. That was a fun moment. But I do agree. Like right away, we were like. And I guess when you said guest host, I was like, yeah. And then I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about like actually reading the teleprompter.
Yeah, you had to learn how to read your lines. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I gave her a hard time in the studio.
No, it's good because I had done Newswatch at Evangel like moons ago. And I don't know why. I was just like, I wonder what me and Blake are going to do. And then I go there and he's like, okay, so here's what you're going to say and here's what you're going to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's
I was really nervous, and so I did kind of like choke a little bit, but
it's a learning curve. I tell everyone that. Yeah, it's a learning curve. We'll have you back again.
Yeah, vibes. Yeah. But we did like the podcast stuff, and that was fine, and that was a good time.
Yeah.
So that's our origin story. But Blake is so fun because you're 25 now. Happy birthday to Blake! Woo! But a couple months ago we were both 24.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we were both 24, so we're both kind of like in our careers, in our coach bag here in Springfield.
Yes,
and, you're in the broadcast world, which is something that like I've been passionate about. Obviously, I do a podcast, so just kind of talking about like how you got into your role and really like where you're from, like how that all really came together.
Okay, here we go. So
it's gonna be an unhinged episode, you guys. Just buckle up.
So back up in time a little bit. So I'm from Kansas City. And then it's really this is an important story.
You're from KC.
Well, not actual KC. I love that you asked that though. No. I'm not from like downtown KC. No. I wish I was, honestly. I freaking love downtown Kansas City. But no, I'm from Blue Springs. So my family's moved around a lot. We don't have enough time to talk about that. But so I did high school basically in Kansas City or in Blue Springs. I'm sorry.
That's right.
And then I got myself to Springfield because I went to MSU. But backing up for a second, okay, this is important for like how I got to where I am. Ready?
Okay. Yes.
So growing up, I was like a huge like choir kid. And like,
I would have never guessed.
I know some people are like, it makes total sense, and some people are really shocked by that. But
because I was in choir and I hated it, I would lip sync.
Okay, I could see that for you. No, yeah, that actually makes so much sense. But anyway, so I loved choir. That was like my thing. Those were my people. I met like some of my best friends still today are from like that kind of like core part of my life, I guess. Anyway, so I thought I was gonna do music for the rest of my life, and I wanted to pursue that. That's what I was going to go to school for. And then it's weird because, like now looking back, I even like get chills just to talking about it. Like God just works in really weird ways sometimes. Right.
Period.
And like shocks us when we're not ready for it. And so, fun fact, if you don't know, so when you are trying to do like, a music degree through a college, most of the time you have to you have to audition for the program in addition to applying. And it's not always guaranteed that you'll get in. So February of my senior year of high school, my mom came down with me, and then two of my best friends came as well. And it was like I think it was just a 1-day situation. I really don't remember now. Anyway, but they decide from there, like they give it a few weeks and then like send you a letter in the mail. Well,
so what did you apply for? Just the program?
I wanted to do what's called, I think it's called vocal performance. So I literally wanted to get my degree in vocal performance, which is kind of funny looking back now because most people on that track, I would say, like go into like opera, which is definitely not my speed. So that would have been, like I said, God works out in like good ways, right? So anyway, so a letter whether you get in or not. So this is like, I don't know, middle to end of March at this point, and I got a letter in the mail, and it said no. And
I'm so sorry.
That
is tough out. Like rejection sucks.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does. It sucks, but so good.
Yeah,
and it really like, oh man, it's just so good. Because I panicked. I mean, I went in full panic. I'm 2 months away from graduation.
That was your plan,
right? I'm like 6 months away from going off to school and starting this next chapter, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And what I've been planning for this whole time, I literally just got slapped in the face. Like, what do you do, right? So my mom out of nowhere is like, oh, what if you just started journalism? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Our mom's the best. Like, they're so sneaky with it. Yeah.
My mom has always been very, very like intuitive and very like, she just always knew what I needed to do one step ahead of me. You know what I mean? I think that's just like maybe a parent thing, not a parent yet, but like, I feel like
Debbie,
that's something you take on.
A little similar to that.
Debbie. Shout out Debbie. But,
yeah, Debbie.
And so my mom was like, what if you just start journalism? Like, Mom, what in the world? Like, why? And my mom's like, and this is such a mom response. My mom's like, well, you've always been good at writing. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not all that goes into journalism. So let's get started
like,
there.
You're always good at talking.
Yeah, right. She's like, you never shut up in school. So, which I actually didn't either. That's the only thing I ever got in trouble for.
We totally would have been friends in school. Totally.
Yeah, we would have gotten, in my little Catholic school, we both would have gotten our pink slips for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll just try journalism. And actually what's funny is before I got to that point, I went back to the other school, like not went back, but like called admission offices back at other schools that I thought I was going to go to. And I was like, where are we at in this process? Cause I might like reconsider.
Good for you. That's like
because
bold.
I was like, I don't know. But cause I had my eyes so set on Missouri State. It was such a good option for me for so many reasons. Financially, I felt like there was going to be more opportunity here. I definitely wanted to be away from home, but not too far away because I'm really close to my mom and my sister who I lived with. And so I was like, I don't know. Anyway, also a good size. Like I toured like Big 12 schools and it was not for me. Yeah. So I started Missouri State as a journalism major. And what's funny is my plan the whole time is I was like, okay, I'm going to...
Also, like quick pause. Yeah. That's so cool and bold to like start. Because I remember when I started off, I think I went like as youth ministry, but I was super open. So for you to be like, okay, what mom said, I'm like... Starting off college that way is just very cool.
Well, and really and truly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like, it's funny because my high school offered this, it was called Wildcat TV, which I'm sure other high schools out there have some kind of iteration of that. It was like just a broadcast program type thing. Never was a part of that at all because I didn't think that's what I was going to do.
Right.
So I came into college with like really no journalism experience, really no idea what I'm getting myself into besides the fact that I knew it consisted of like news-based careers or something along those lines, but really having no idea what I was getting myself into. And honestly, the basis I went off of was that I always knew like that I had this like deep love for like entertainment and like celebrity, which I know is like such a hot take because so many people are like, ugh, you know what I mean? But
I don't know. Me and Eva, my bestie, we'll this is so bad because we'll be on TikTok and we'll be like, oh my gosh, did you see this drama? Like we'll like talk about it.
It's
for
enticing.
hours.
It really is.
I know, it's so bad.
For me, it was like
because you're like, is it real or is it PR?
Yes, yeah.
You're
like, what part of this is real, and also like, is this actually like fact checked or is this tabloid? Because there's a difference.
That's
you
true.
know. But anyway, so I remember though, like I grew up watching E! News. Like I would watch E! News when I got home from school. Came out like 6 o'clock and it was with Ryan Seacrest and Juliana Rancic. And I don't want to say idolize them because that's bad, but like kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like
he was like your celebrity man crush.
Like I was like, I want to be Ryan Seacrest. And I also loved Juliana Rancic because she has like a really cool personal journey as well. But I just respected the heck out of both of them and their like careers and what they were able to do. So anyway, go to school for journalism. And what's funny is when I started at MSU, I told my mom, I was like, okay, well, if I decide to stick with journalism, I'll just stay here like a year or two and then transfer because...
To where?
Well, so all Missourians know that like Mizzou is the place to be for journalism.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're like
Go
known.
Tigers.
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. But so like their journalism program is like one of the top rated in the nation. It's like a really big deal.
That.
Yeah, fun fact. So it's like a really big deal. So a lot of people would ask me that too. It's funny. Like even now people are like, why didn't you go to Mizzou? And I'm like, well, that's not. And then I have to explain this whole story that I should explain to you and wasted 5 minutes of our life. No, I'm just kidding. But what's funny is that.
It wasn't part of your plan. It wasn't what you were supposed to be.
And what's so crazy is that I thought I would leave Missouri State. Like I was so naive. It's so funny what we think when we're 18 and we think we have the world figured out. And like even looking back now, I'm like, I did not know. And I can't wait to be like 40 and look back at being 25 and be like, yeah, I still had no idea what I was talking about. You know what I mean?
I cannot wait to be, You
know, it's going to be fun though to like watch that aspect of our lives back and just kind of be like, what in the world? Like, who did I think I was and what did I think I was doing? You know?
Because like 24, I'm like, oh my gosh, 21-year-olds are like so young.
Yeah.
And that's when I was 21. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
like,
but you thought you had life figured out then too.
Yeah,
we always think we have it figured out, but we don't. So anyway, where I was going with that is that, I thought I would transfer and then I got really, really involved with like student life at MSU. And this may be veering off of what you really even wanted me to know here, but I got really involved. So I was involved in like student government. I was involved in like their like activities thing for a little bit. I joined like a small fraternity. I'd given like tours of campus, just like the very like textbook, like go into college and do everything like activity wise that you can do. So you're like all
over the website, right?
I mean, look me up. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously. I mean,
yeah. So, but that's what kept me there. And that's what's so funny about like community and about just like when you find your place, you just stick with it, you know, because I mean, even looking back now, it's funny because I love my professors at MSU. I really, really, really do. But in a lot of ways, I feel like once I got into the real world and got my job, like I learned so much more in the first like 2 months from some coworkers about like the way this industry worked than I learned in school. But I loved my experience at MSU and I would like never take away or change anything about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So then fast forward, graduate, did it in 4 years, which I was very proud of myself for. Yeah. And I'm not shaming anyone that takes longer because everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's on their own journey. That's like my life motto right now.
I was the same way though, as people were like 3.5, and I'm like, why? I'm like, I have the rest of my life to be worried about work.
No,
like,
it was great. Also, get your little applause ready, because I was also a first gen student, so it was a really big deal when I graduated. Yeah. So super exciting. But anyway, so I got my degree in journalism, and then here's the thing, like, you will probably relate to this, but being a senior in college was kind of like, I don't want to say post-COVID, because it wasn't. It was like right in the depth of it.
Right. 2021,
because it was 2021,
right?
yes. And so we were only a year, not even a year and a half after. And it was like the world was still shut down. There was so many jobs still not open. There was just like not a lot of opportunity out there. And so it was really hard to find my way. And I remember I had like...
When you say that, do you mean in terms of like finding a job right after college?
Yeah. Because it's like... And again, I feel like you're probably the same way, just like observation based. But it's like, I always thought I'd be that person that like had everything figured out and would have a job lined up and like be at graduation day and be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to like Monday start my new job. Because those were things that I feel like were always instilled in us at university, like at MSU, you know? And so it was like, that's like my goal. Like, I'm going to reach that goal and I'm going to do it. And then I didn't. And I just remember I applied. I mean, I probably still have the Excel sheet somewhere, but it was like 200 jobs. I mean, the grind was real. Like, I never stopped. I always tried, and just nothing was working out.
And when you're talking these jobs, we're talking like cover letter, resumes.
Yes, all the things.
So
Zoom interviews, or it was like some of the companies I was applying for were like these really whack. And if people are listening have been through this, I'm so sorry, because I think it's horrible, but it's like these like multi-step interviews or multi-part interviews, I guess, to get a job. But it like the first one sometimes would be like, you do a phone call and then the person would act interested, and then you do the second one, and it was like this weird video thing where it'd pop up and be like, why do you want to work here? Or I don't know. That's like not at all what it was, but you know what I mean? And then it would count down to like 3, 2, 1, and it would record you and you had to answer it. And that's how it would go. And then,
oh my gosh, the pressure.
Yes. And that was like step 2. And so, and then it was like, and then I always felt like I'd get cut there. And I was like, okay, well then again, God thing. So, after I graduate, first of all, I get to graduation day, and I'm like, not beyond myself, because I was really proud of myself for graduating, but I was like, it was hard on me that I didn't have a job.
Yeah, completely.
And I remember like
you probably couldn't even like enjoy it as much as you like a normal person would.
No, I enjoyed it. But no, I did enjoy it, because it was a big deal that I was really proud of myself that I graduated, but it was hard. And I actually remember, so like my family, like none of them are from here, obviously. So like we rented like a big Airbnb, and then I had like some college friends that came and stuff. And so they had this like little day party thing for me. Right. And I remember I just like sat there and I thanked everyone for like being on this journey with me. But then I just like completely broke down. And I think it was because I was so scared of what was next and not knowing. And that's a funny thing about like getting older, is like the fear of the unknown just becomes bigger and bigger, you know? And so I just had no idea what I was going to do. And so I went home for 6 weeks, which was really funny, because I say I moved back to Kansas City, but I didn't. I literally went back to my mom's house for 6 weeks. Mind you, I completely moved out of my apartment here, sold all my furniture, because I was moving back in with my mom. So I was like, I don't need any of this stuff, you know? My plan was to stay in KC for a year. I actually worked for my now in-laws at their insurance office for 6 weeks, which was also kind of funny. But they run a very good business, let me just say, and they were great bosses, but it was just not my speed.
Yeah.
But anyway, in the meantime, this job, what's the word? The job posting had popped up for Color 10 for Ozarks Live.
Indeed,
it was LinkedIn. Yeah, it was LinkedIn.
Bro, I'll tell you what, I love LinkedIn. I'm like, you think I'm active on Instagram?
Yeah.
People on LinkedIn.
No, literally. Like, if you want to find me there.
This is so bad. One thing I'll say, though, is I always wish LinkedIn would, like, add a height category.
A height category?
Yeah.
Why? You want them to know your height so they're not shocked when you see them?
No, I'm trying to know these men's height. I mean, why not?
You trying to find a job and a husband?
2 for 1, baby.
I mean, hey, we're all about combos, you know, so whatever it takes.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. No, but
keep going, Blake.
So, a professor of mine at MSU, who was also like my advisor through undergrad, he had sent me the job posting, and then so did a friend of mine who actually still works there. And we did journalism school together. And so I applied, and I was like, man, I really don't want to go back to Springfield. And what's crazy is at the same time, I was applying to jobs in Kansas City, because at this point, like, you know how it is. It's like you make up in your mind what you want to do. And I was like, at this point, I'm going to stay in KC. Like, I'm going to be here for at least a year, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going anywhere else. So I was between a job here and a job actually up in Kansas City. And I had phone calls for both.
Wow.
which was crazy because after like 6 months of trying, this was the closest I felt to an actual job offer. And it got really hard really fast because then it was like, okay, so I felt like the Springfield job made more sense, but I really wanted the Kansas City job.
It's a bigger market.
Bigger
right?
market, also close to home, close to my friends.
Yeah.
My now wife and I were still like just dating at the time, and she was actually still a year left in school, but still I was like, okay, well, she's gonna come here after she's done in a year.
Made sense.
So this just makes sense for my life, you know? And I got the calls on the same day from the Kansas City job and the Springfield job, and the Kansas City job called me first.
Oh my gosh.
And said no.
Dang.
So there was that like second slap in the face of like a no in life, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, okay, I don't know how to take that. But then my now boss had called me and offered me the job for Ozarks Live, and I was like, ooh, this is just as tough. No,
sorry, my finger slipped.
Also. You're not wrong.
Sorry.
No, but shout out to my boss Shannon, because she is the best boss I've ever had in my life, and I actually feel like she's the best boss I will ever have in my life, to be honest. Like, she's just an amazing person. She sees the best in people.
Yeah.
She also, and this is like, I just love people like this, she sees your potential.
That's good.
And she takes the risk, takes the chance, you know, which I just think is something we can all like take after. And so she took a chance on me and offered me the job. And so,
and quick pause right there. One thing about me is that I don't play games unless it's ping pong at Classics Yard. Classics Yard is Springfield's #1 social sport and game center. It is located in the back of Classic Rock Coffee Company headquarters and next door to the Riff. Coffee, sports, music, what more could you want? Located at 1900 West Sunset Street in Springfield, Missouri. Be sure to check them out, play some games, and reserve your event today. Visit www.classicsyard.com. I'm just going to say, I mean, I don't want to get any, crazy with it, but like bosses I've had, I don't know how you feel, but like it makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Like 24, like obviously I'm not going to get to the weeds of my life, but it's like, I think about the bosses that took a chance on me and that were amazing to me when I was so young. And it like literally makes me cry because I'm like, you didn't have to do that. And thank you so much for doing that. And it like, even however long you're with them, it impacts you in such a large way.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And I, when I get to later in the story or something else you ask me later, there's another thing that she took a risk on me for, which we'll get to. But so this was just producing, by the way. So I was not on air yet, fresh out of school. 6 weeks in Kansas City. But so what was crazy is this is like the end of June-ish, somewhere in there. And they wanted me there like around the 4th of July. And I was like, wow. Oh my gosh. Mind you, when I said I had just sold I ended my lease here in Springfield. Yeah. Sold all my furniture. So I didn't have anything. So I literally started from like the ground up, came back.
Ugh. That's rough.
I know. I started on, I can never get this right, but it was either July 6th or 7th of 2021. So I'm almost at 3. I'm at like 2.5 years right now. But what's crazy is I moved back. But when I moved back, I actually lived at my wife's old college apartment because I know like I could not find an apartment and she had 2 weeks left on her lease. Wow. So I lived there. And then in the meantime, I mean, like I'd go to work and every day I would leave work. For those first 2 weeks, I worked at Color 10 and I would either like, I'd be going all around Springfield on some Facebook Marketplace type ish, you know what I'm saying? Right. And get some furniture. And then I'd also like be calling apartments nonstop, taking tours, just being like, do you have any availability? And I'm like, I have a job and I have to be out of my girlfriend's place in 2 weeks. Like I don't have an option. Yeah. And I'm like, but I also can't give up this job. Yeah. I ended up finding something, moved in, whatever, found all my furniture, started from the ground up. And then what's crazy is that first year, like I just learned so much.
Did you find a mattress pretty fast?
Yeah.
Because in Springfield, it's like the mattresses, the laundry stuff, that's like crack here.
Okay,
like
you want to get something really gross? You said it was going to be unhinged. Yes. I don't think I've ever admitted this publicly, but people in my life know this.
All my crap is from Facebook.
No, so is mine. That's not what's embarrassing. Oh, okay. I like, we're very pro Facebook Marketplace in this house.
Yes,
okay?
Yeah. And also, Blake is literally 25. So this is like, we're going to have an unhinged, like,
yeah.
Gen Z pod. Like, suck it up, Buttercup.
No, suck it up. And here's the suck it up part. This is actually really gross, and I would not recommend this because it's probably unsanitary.
If you're my podcast party, they're well prepared. So.
My mattress that I had for 2 years in that first apartment, I picked up off a curb in Springfield and threw it in my car.
Okay, but we need to know the street.
Do
you remember? Was it like downtown location, or was it like North Glenstone?
No.
Was it like on the south side?
It was south side. Okay. And here's what happened. Here's what was funny is I was looking.
Was like a billionaire then.
Yeah.
Like.
And here's the thing. I was looking for a mattress, but I was like,
I'm
okay.
so dead. Thank you for admitting that.
No,
and, like,
I just don't care. I told you I'm open. Yeah. And so, but what's funny is he had made a Facebook Marketplace listing, and so I was like, oh, okay, and so he was like, it'll be out like in the yard, basically on the curb, whatever. And he's like, it's free, just whoever gets here. And I tell you, when I saw that listing, I booked it to the south side of town. I was like, I need a mattress. Like, I'm desperate.
Side, that was probably like from like Mattress Firm, like, you know, I mean, they're like, I mean, we don't.
To be honest, here's what I did. I took that mattress, I threw it in my car. I came home. I think I like sprayed like some Febreze or something.
You got like
that's
a truck, or like how the heck did you fit it?
I have just an SUV, so it probably didn't really fit. I just squeezed it in there. It was fine. We made it work. And then I used that for 2 years, which is disgusting. But I have since gotten rid of that, so we're good.
Hey, there's no judgment here. I mean,
no.
Someone can judge, but it's just not gonna be me.
No, you're probably gonna get some messages. So I'm sorry to all of you sanitary people, but all the OCD people, no, right? All the germaphobes are like, oh my god, canceled. Yeah, absolutely canceled.
But all the earth lovers are like, thank you for your work.
Like, they're like, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm like, no, I'm just happy to be here. You know, it's like whatever. So, oh man, that's good. So
that's your story of how you got to Ozarks Live.
Yeah, and it was a long one. I just took up 30 minutes of your time.
No, but that was so good. No, I mean, everyone's journey is different. And I know you were talking about like for me, I was someone that like did get a job right away, but I did have that anxiety of like, in my mind, you know, and I love my dad so much. Love you, Dad. But also it was like that pressure of like, you have to get a job when you graduate. And so for me, I got a job in the manufacturing industry, which is something I never would have expected, but it ended up being a great blessing. And I love them, and I do miss them, and so slay. But you know, I think it's very admirable to talk about like you found something immediately in a field that like you were wanting, and it was like in God's way.
Yeah, and I do feel very grateful for that. Like, I know that not everyone, like, I still have friends who are trying to figure out like how to get into the business or the industry that they got their degree in, if that's what they're wanting to do. Obviously, that's not everyone's track, but like, I feel so grateful that I kind of looked out in that way. Because it's funny, because at the time that 6 weeks felt like forever, but looking back, I'm like, that 6 weeks was nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be literally like 25 and like hosting a show is such a slay. Yeah. So it's so great. But yeah, let's just like talk a bit more into like broadcasting, journalism. You mentioned that you love pop culture, you love like celebrity stuff. Obviously, you grew up watching Ryan Seacrest, but is there like something that really... like, what was it about that you were like, oh, is it like celebrity gossip? Is it like the storyline? Like, you know, what about that are you so passionate about, I guess? Yeah.
I don't know if I can like pinpoint what started it for me, aside from like what I shared about like E! News and Juliana and Ryan and stuff. Right. But I was just always so like enamored by it. It was so fascinating to me. I loved it. And what's funny is like, and not everyone is this way, but I do feel like a lot of people that enjoy or like pop culture also like reality TV.
Oh, for sure.
And I always liked reality TV. Like, I watched it in high school. I'm pretty sure I was probably watching it too young in middle school, for being honest.
So let's chop it up. Like, what's your favorite show?
There's so many. And here's the thing is like, I could literally do a whole episode with you on like the evolution of reality TV, because it's so interesting, and there's so much that's changed. The landscape of it has changed. What's allowed and what's not allowed anymore has changed. What we cover now has changed. And also the stories we're telling have changed, of course. So what's funny is that like my favorites prior like to COVID per se, and prior to like the boom in Netflix and all their reality stuff, where like I ate up the like old school VH1 dating reality shows with like what's his name? Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. And like Flava Flav's Love Show. You ever seen that?
I haven't.
If you want a messy watch, I think most of them are on Hulu now. It's so bad. And like, I'm like, why did I ever watch this? But that's where a lot of that started. And then I always loved like competition shows.
Yes.
They were always
have you
fascinating.
seen Are You the One?
Yes.
Okay, so I've applied.
Okay, as you should. Yeah.
No, so like in college I was really delulu and I applied for The Bachelor a bunch of times, but now I'm not a fan of The Bachelor. I just think it's so produced, and that could be a hot take.
I know, I have a take on that too though. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it's both of those shows. That's funny you bring up, because like Bachelor, I just feel like it was on for a long. I think my mom watched it when we were younger, and
It's
then
been
like
on forever. Like it's not interesting to me at all.
And then my sister and I took it on as well. And then like what's funny with Are You the One is like, especially the first few seasons,
so good.
my sister and our next door neighbors who were like,
we have to break it down. Like if people don't know what Are You the One is,
Yes.
they took like 10 people and they did a personality test.
well, it was 20, 10 men, 10 women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, but yeah. So
Was
they
it really
supposed
20? Was it
Yeah,
really?
I'm pretty sure, because it
Oh
was
my
10
gosh.
matches. Remember the 10 beams?
You're right. Okay.
Yeah. So supposedly, this is where it's get a little sketchy. So supposedly
Yes.
there was some like matchmaker and these like experts that you
Right.
take all these personality tests and do all these
where
interviews.
the doctor at? Like what's the URL?
I'm like, show the proof. Like, where's the
Yeah.
credits?
Yes.
But they would like essentially try and match you up. But what's funny is it's like the issue I take with that is I'm like, okay, well, who's to say your match is really in like this random group of 20 people when there's like a
Right.
billion people in the world? But whatever.
Right.
Anyway, we can get into that
And
later.
also like opposites attract, but it was so crazy
Yeah,
because
it
people
was
would like
weird.
fall in love with people that like weren't their match. But anyways,
But you had no
yeah.
basis to go off of. You would just
Yeah.
like try. It was literally based off like chemistry, attraction, life stories, backgrounds, what you're normally like. A lot of people would like lean towards like maybe what or who they typically be interested in, but then
Yeah.
that would not be their match. So they'd be like, wait, maybe this is like not the right thing. And then it was like they had this thing called the truth booth.
Bro, I love that.
The truth booth is each week you'd like 3 or 4 like 10 couples or whatever would go on a date, and the rest of the house would get to vote on one couple to go into the truth booth, which would then like if they got sent, it would reveal for the house if they were a match or not. So if they were a match, then they went to like the honeymoon suite or whatever it was called.
Yes,
and
then
they were gone the rest of the season, which was really wild to me. Or
That was wild.
because I'm like, you just met this person like 4 days ago, but okay, that's weird.
Right.
And then or if they weren't a match, then it was like you knew, but it always caused a bunch of drama.
Yeah, so I've applied a lot of times.
You're still applying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I think it would be so fun to be on a reality show. And also, like, Are You the One is always in a place like Fiji, and they have competitions. But I don't know, stuff like Love Island. I am watching Love Island Australia because I love Australians.
Another
but
bombshells entered the villa. That's my favorite line ever.
Has, like, this bloke.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I feel like so much of it now is like, oh, are you a hot influencer with 200,000 followers? Come on the show, do this thing. And I don't know. I'm like,
wait, I'm glad you said that though, because that's my issue with The Bachelor.
it's not like real
so
anymore.
The Bachelor
you know?
used to be so much better, and I think that's why like I mean their success rate isn't great. This is like an ongoing like
Yeah.
opinion people have that their success rate's really bad, but I would say you see a lot of these older like seasoned couples that were a lot more successful because one, social media was not as present, or for some of the
Yeah.
seasons it wasn't a thing at all. And so it's like these girls or guys that were going on these seasons, like they had, I'm so sorry to say this, they had real like everyday 9-to-5 jobs, and they weren't
Yeah.
just out here on Instagram trying to gain the followers.
You better preach.
You know what I'm saying? And so now it's
Yes.
like it makes me laugh. The current season, I'm kind of watching through the current season just because I'm like curious. I've been out of the game for a little bit with The Bachelor. I'm like, let me just try it again.
Okay.
But this
what are your
season,
thoughts so far?
I think it's okay. I think it's very okay. I
Okay.
think like from like right now in this conversation, there's been 3 episodes out, but there's like 2 more coming like tonight, tomorrow, something, whatever. But literally you look at the cast of the women and like all of them have the same job. They're like all account managers.
Models?
They're all
Oh.
account executives. They're all like these. And I'm also like, okay, what is an account manager? You know?
Well, at a digital marketing agency, I know exactly what that is. But besides that,
but that's what I mean. It's like, that's so vague.
Oh, like account manager of their accounts.
It might be.
Yeah.
For all I know. And I'm also like, why do they all have the same exact job? But then it's funny
Yeah.
because then like you like these certain people and then 2 episodes in, they're fighting someone else over the dumbest thing that makes no sense. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, you're not actually here to find love, which is fine. I guess at the end of the day, they need a good TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's just like, I get so lost on like what their actual
Yeah.
purpose is. You know what I'm saying? So like I can respect what The Bachelor's trying to do. I think their intentions start in a good place, but there are just like I think it's the contestants. I think it's the world we live in, to be honest.
I think it's also the producers, because I'm not gonna lie, I like losing brain cells on reality TV, because for me, like, I feel like I just go so hard at my job, and then I go hard with the podcast, that like I like to watch something stupid, and I actually work really well. Like, I get stuff done while watching TV sometimes, and so with The Bachelor, it just feels so fake to me that I can't even.
It's a little hard.
Like, yeah, I can't even tap in.
Which that's a good point, because at its core, the basis of like here I am defending it, not The Bachelor, but reality TV in general. Like, the basis of it is to escape into a different reality, and also to like literally we study this in college. It's like you watch it because you like. I'm not saying in general like we feel like we're better than, but like we watch it and we're like, oh my god, their life's way worse off than mine. You know, like oh, this girl is a hot mess. She can't like stop putting down the champagne. She has no idea what she's doing dating. Right. You know, and so you're like, oh my gosh, my life's so much better. And that's like why we're so glued to it so often, is because it really is this escape.
Downtown.
Oh, I was like, what was that?
Someone I'll never date.
There it is. No, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say too, and this is like totally calling out. Well, there's two things I want to say about the. One, I only watched like Peter's season, and I did kind of come for him on
so messy.
I like came for him on TikTok, and he would respond. So we can't. He
would respond.
Yeah.
So you're friends now?
It was very much. I was kind of in an era that I was actually like kind of being mean, and so no, it was very much for not friends.
You were online bullying?
I don't want to say that, but definitely I apologize, you know, Peter, and like we're all good.
We've all had our moments. It's fine.
But also don't dance like that online. Anyways, moving on.
Also, no, his season was so messy.
Yeah, we can't even get into that because it will take an hour.
No.
But one thing I will say is that like I'm gonna totally expose too, but there's a TV show called Twin Love. And a couple of guys that I used to like hang out with and like whatever in town, they went on that show, and I thought it was one. I love seeing people I know on TV.
It's fun.
But two, they were just like all regular people. I mean, we're talking like, I don't even know what, I mean, they were looking for like identical twins. And so it was so cool that there wasn't some like insane fabricated storyline. It was just like straight up, do you like this girl? No. She friends on you. Okay, you cried, like move on. I'm like, man, this is so like good and real. You know, everyone's like nice and normal, and I liked it.
Yeah.
But
I will say that's like, it's funny because earlier I said like pre-COVID reality TV. Post-COVID, what I've been really into is like, well, first of all, I started watching Survivor heavily when we were like at home from college and like the world shut down, right? Yeah. And what's funny is there's like a really interesting way that still affects my life today. I'll get to that in a second. But what's also funny is like the onset of COVID was also the onset of like the really big, really good quality Netflix reality TV. And it's like this was like Love is Blind, Tiger King, The Circle, Too Hot to Handle, like all this stuff that's been really successful and still does really good. I mean, Love is Blind is still drawing viewers in today, as is The Circle, and it's because
no matter how crazy their hosts are.
No, yeah, Nick and Dustin are a little bit unhinged. Here's the thing. Nick
is cool.
Here's my quick hot take on that, right? I actually don't mind them.
We told you guys it was going to be unhinged.
Yeah,
okay, like we told you.
Yeah. And too many opinions, but
way too many.
No, I don't mind them like on the through like the basis of this season, I guess. You know, like where they're just like being like, "Oh, now the couples are going to
They're going to say the reunion."
But I don't like them on the reunion.
No.
And here's why. Nick and Vanessa, if you're watching this, they're horrible asking questions. Like they ask all the wrong questions, and that is not even me coming from like, oh, I interview for a living, because that's not how I feel about myself at all. But it's like genuinely, I'm like, let me get in there, because they don't ask the good questions. They ask these really off questions, and then it's like I sometimes feel like they don't know how to like
dive deeper.
Yeah, and I was also gonna say like cope with or deal with like the responses, and they just like kind of get awkward about it, and then they don't know how to dive deeper, and you're just like, I want to know more, or like, okay, that was just like the complete wrong answer to ask this person when like everyone's been dying to know this the entire season watching it from home, because the reunion does get filmed later on. Yeah.
And I think that makes the mark of a good storyteller or not, is to dive deeper. And like even Alex Cooper, like I mean, she's a businesswoman. Obviously, she has a podcast and certain things, but there are certain interviews like Hailey Bieber. I'm not a huge fan, but there were a lot of things where it was so Selena Gomez focused. And I'm like, hey, this chick did start her own brand and we haven't asked any questions about that, you know? And so I do think it is the mark of a good storyteller of like, well, are you asking things that people really want to know? Are you diving, are you doing your research? Are you diving deeper? Like all those things.
Wait, I'm curious to know something though.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm like, this is my podcast now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, do it. Come on, Blake, be so for real. Like,
so do you feel like you have, because we just talked about like interview questions, do you feel like you have like a basis that you work off of? Because I was asked this one time, and after I was asked it, I actually realized that I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, kind of almost like not like really an outline, but kind of, yeah. Like, I have a very like specific kind of question I feel like I ask most like interviews I do on the show.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how that works, you know? It's just like these default things that we go to as interviewers, you know?
I definitely would say yes, but I think if you were to think about like what you ask people in real life, like my number one question when I'm like at a party or like a date, I'm like, what's your fun fact? Like I'm at the Bass Pro TOC, like what's your fun fact to like these basketball players, you know? And so obviously we kind of have an outline, but you and I have definitely not stay to it. No, so I mean, we're vibing out, but there are things that to my core and like what the podcast mission statement is, like, we do stick to it. I mean, we end every pod the same, but but definitely like it is interesting. Flow.
Can I go back to my Survivor piece? I think you're gonna like this. I think that's gonna spark some things for you.
Come on, do whatever you want.
So here's an interesting story. So I think about this too. So like with Survivor, I said I had like heavily started. That was like one of my big like pandemic binges. Like I watched so many seasons.
I've seen Survivor now for the first time. I'm like, wow, this is good. I could never. I'm like, I can literally never.
Here's the thing. One day I want to try. I don't know. Okay, no, I don't know that I ever actually apply.
I can't.
A lot of people in my life that know me are like, you would not last, and they're probably right. But here's the thing:
if you apply for one show and get it, I'll be so mad. Just not.
We can talk about that
I'll
later.
Support you,
okay,
but also
actually,
I'm like, how the heck?
You know what's funny? I told you I'll be honest. I actually did apply one time
to Survivor.
Yeah. So in this phase. Backing up to earlier when we were talking about applying for jobs post grad, for jobs post grad, I literally was like, okay, this is just my Hail Mary. Like, I'm just, because Survivor, how it works, people don't know, is like Survivor, Amazing Race, Big Brother, all the big CBS reality shows. You have to submit a video. That's like how you do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm well aware.
Yeah, which is just like, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that too. But anyway.
Well, we can edit this out, but you have to also be vaccinated, which is why not that that's the reason why I haven't gotten things, but I'm not. And I know that's like, oh, she's in this pile.
Yeah. Like, that's really interesting. Okay. So, but with, with Survivor.
Keep it going though. Keep going.
With Survivor, you submit these videos. And I remember I was like, I don't know. Like I looked like trash. Like I did put no effort into my appearance. I walked out on my college apartment balcony and I recorded myself on my phone for probably a minute or two, and I just submitted
Alex
it.
Earl ring light.
No, nothing. And I was just like, let's just see. I never heard back.
What did you say
I did
though?
Try. I think my pitch was literally like, I'm a 20-something, graduated from college, about to take on the world. I have no idea what I want to do with my life, and like, what better way to start that than just to go out on this island and see what I can do? Yeah. Like that was like my pitch.
It's a good elevator pitch.
I mean, they didn't think so, but it is what it is, you know. Who says their calls are good? You know, not me. I'm just kidding. I love Survivor.
No, I mean, seriously, like all these reality shows, I'm like, guys, I play ping pong.
Yeah.
I'm Latina. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you not want me on Love Island? Like,
yeah. No, literally, especially the crazy part. That's what they're all about. That's what they're all about. No, but in all seriousness, so I watched Survivor really heavily. And then it was interesting because flash forward to when I was talking about like career journey and stuff, I stopped at when I took the producing job at Ozarks Live, right? So I have always been someone where like I really try and like seek out opportunities. Like you can't wait around for them, right?
Exactly. No.
Like people have always told me that, and that is just so true. Any industry, any career, I don't care what it is. I feel like that's so true. Like you have to seek it out. You can't always just expect that it's going to come to you. So my thing was, I took on the producing job, but I knew I was like, one day I want to be on air, and that doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be next year. It doesn't mean next 5 years, but eventually that's what I want to do. So my old
that was probably hard for you to be like behind the scenes too, and like not be on air.
It was at first, but I think it was really good for me looking back because I had a really good like year foundation of figuring out like just everything about the show and like how things really should work, you know. But anyway, so my first, like, I guess, way of getting on air was I talked to one of my old coworkers who I love very dearly, but he left for a different company. And I told him, because he's like him and my boss were like the two that like taught me everything when I started. Okay. Like they literally gave me a crash course for like, it felt like 2 months that they were just like continually helping me through everything. Like if I had a question, it was never like condescending. It was never looking down. It was just very encouraging, very supportive, awesome. Very like interactive. Right. And so I would kind of consult my coworker at the time about like everything. Cause he had been around, he knew a lot about the industry. He's very well respected at the station. And so I was like, okay, I have this crazy idea. And I was like, I don't know if it'll ever go over. And he's like, what is it? And I was like, here's the thing. I was like, for those that don't know, Color 10 is our local CBS affiliate. And so obviously Survivor, Amazing Race, all these big reality shows air on the station. And so I was like, this brand new season of Survivor is about to come out. It's the first season post COVID. So, cause at this time it had been like, I don't know, a year or two since Survivor had come out. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want to pitch doing like weekly reviews of Survivor on the show.
It's a good idea.
And he was like, just pitch it. And I was like, but are you sure? And I am like a ball of anxiety at this point. Cause I'm like, I don't know. Like, is this really what I want? Da, da, da. So I pitch it and the bosses actually loved it. And, here's a hot tip.
Okay.
Promote what your company's doing and they'll always say yes.
That's
you know what I'm
good.
saying?
That's good. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You know the vibes.
Because it's not.
They don't always say yes, but
no, they don't always say yes, but it's a lesson that you should just try.
You should
because
just try.
I took it to them and it was like, okay, well, not only is this something that we've never done, and Ozarks Live at the time had been around for 10, 11 years locally here on air. Never had really done that before. Never really tapped into that. Also the hosts of the time just weren't super interested in that, which is like fine. That's the point of having different personalities and different people that have different interests, right? So they were super into that idea. And also I say that promoting your company because we air CBS shows. So at the end of the day, it was helping promote our own network, right?
So genius.
So did
just
that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So did that. And we would like, our show airs live weekdays at 3, shameless plug.
Plug it up.
Yeah. And so, so we would, myself and my now like full-time, host, Cammie, we would come in every week. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday mornings. I don't remember. And we would film these like recordings to take like 5-10 minutes and they'd air on the show that day. And we just did that for a whole season. And then it was like that ended and the first season of Amazing Race post COVID was coming out. And so I went to management again. I was like, what do you think about we just continue this? And they're like, yeah, we love it. So then we did Amazing Race. What's crazy about all of that, and I'm taking this back to like, remember I literally just the love for Survivor started watching at home during the pandemic, right?
Applied in
yes.
balcony, yes.
Is spring of 22. Okay. So almost a year after being there, but not quite. I got COVID after a trip I was on, and I was
what
at
country?
home. It wasn't a country, actually. I went to Kentucky. I know,
bro.
No, literally.
Not Kentucky. I hit the wrong button.
It's okay. This is kind of groovy though.
Yeah.
But no, so I went to Kentucky. One of my best friends lives there.
Okay.
And so we did like a guys trip out there. I have this really good guy friend group from college. Shout out to all of them if any of them listen to this. Love them all so much. They're like my brothers.
That's awesome.
Half of them were my groomsmen in my wedding. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so got COVID. Come back. I'm at home for a week or more, whatever it was at the time, right? And I was sitting there and I was like, man, I'm unhappy. And I was like, I'm unhappy because I want to be at home. Like I want to move back home. My wife was about to graduate, so I knew she was going to move back. She had accepted a nursing job. She's a nurse. Shout out nurses.
Yeah, nurses.
But
we're so bad. All the shout outs. Like, that's the wrong one.
That's the laughing one. So now they think we're joking about nurses.
No, we love nurses.
Morgan's going to figure out how to use her soundboard here in a second.
I like the fact that I don't.
No, I'm just kidding. I think it's kind of funny. But anyway, so I knew she was going to move back home because she had already accepted a job back in KC.
In KC, okay.
Yeah, and I had some friends in grad school, grad school at MSU who were finishing their last year, whatever. And so I knew like come into May, June, I was like, I do not want to be here because I was like, all my friends are going to leave. And I was kind of struggling that year anyway to like find people, you know what I'm saying? Like new people, I guess, to like hang out with and build community with and be friends with them, whatever. So during COVID, when I was home that week, this is not COVID. This is like when I'm home after Kentucky. I always told my wife, I said, I'll stay at Color 10, but if a job in Kansas City pops up within this year, I'm applying. Because we're owned corporately, of course. And so there's a bunch of stations all across the U.S. that you can apply to, whatever. So the job popped up.
No way.
And it was an executive producing job up in Kansas City for the lifestyle show up there. And I was like, oh man, what do I do? And so I like fully had my application ready, talked to my whole family about it, talked to my wife about it. And then I wanted to talk to my boss like as soon as I got back from having COVID, and she was out or something. She was out or we couldn't talk or whatever. And so then the next day I finally went and I was like, hey, I was like, I love you. I love this job. I love everything it's done for me. I'm not happy here. And I have to prioritize that.
So quick pause. When you say you're not happy here, was it just because you were like, I need to be on air? Like, I know I'm not being tapped into my full potential. Is that what?
No, honestly, here's what's crazy is at the time it wasn't even that. It was like mental health. It was, I know that like this year's already been hard with like my wife and some of my dearest friends here. Like what is life going to look like in 2 months if everyone's gone? So it wasn't even
job, but also like job. Cause it's
certain aspects of job. Yeah. That I can't really go into, but, for sure. And so it was just like, it was just a lot, you know? And I think I just like hit my breaking point. And one thing about me, like a strength of mine, I guess, is I feel like I'm very self-aware and I've just always been like very observant and like I feel like I just understand like my life and the way I want things to be very well. I don't know if that like makes sense or even sounds right.
I get it.
But I feel like that's one of my strengths. And so I was just like, I'm at the point where I know I don't want to be here. What's crazy is, so I go in and tell my boss this. My boss is completely understanding of it. She's like, I get it. It sucks. Like this is like TV news industry. People that aren't familiar, like a lot of times in news, especially if you're on air, you sign like 2-3 year contracts is average. And then a lot of people ship off to the next place after. So people are always moving. People are always leaving.
Right.
It's like, you know, it's just one of those industries. So she was like, that sucks. And like, I hate that you feel that way. But, you know, at the end of the day, like everyone has to do what's best for them. Like that's just the nature of this business. And I respect your decision. And she's like, there's no bad blood here. I'm like, cool. Not long after this, I was approached about taking over hosting for Ozarks Live.
Wow.
And mind
He's
you...
He's like 20 minutes later. I'm just kidding.
And mind you, I had not like
the job in KC was a producer. It was not even, not hosting at all.
No, it was just executive producing. And at this point, I had like not asked for this. I had not said anything. The only thing I knew, and I mean, this was a little bit apart. It wasn't like this, you know, the same day, whatever, but, I knew that, that there was going to be changes on the show. There was someone that was leaving at the time and I knew that was going to happen. And so I knew they were looking to make changes, but I didn't expect it to be me, to be honest.
Wow.
And what was crazy is, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier about people taking chances on us and like making us emotional, is like my boss took the chance on me because I found out after the fact that she had pitched my name in the meeting.
Wow.
And because they were talking about it and they're like, well, what if we just try him? And so then I was asked about it and they're like, what do you think? We know you want to move to Kansas City, but like, what do you think? And I remember I met with them. This was like after the show one random day. And I called my mom and I was like, I feel like my life just turned on its head and I don't know what to do. She's like, what do you mean? And I explained everything. I just told her everything I told you. And she's like, I mean, that's crazy. I don't know. You have to like, you just kind of have to think about it and figure it out. And like, we can talk about it more. I'm like, okay. So then I like call my wife and like, what do you think? And she's like, I don't know. Like everyone just thought this was crazy because you have to think about like, at the time I'm, I don't know, 23, 24, something like that. I guess 23. And only not even a full year out of college yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just offered this full-time role on air that's like almost unheard of, you know? And like, here's the thing is like, is Springfield the biggest market? No, but it's a good market.
For sure.
So like in TV, we work off this like market scale, market size type thing. And on like a 2 or 100 or more type, I don't know what, like how long the list goes, right? Springfield's like 74.
Wow.
So like we're honestly higher than like some cities you would think of, you know what I mean? And it's because our DMA is so big with like Branson and the Ozarks and all the things.
Yeah, right.
But so I was like, this is a great opportunity. What's crazy is I pursued both options at the same time, which I would recommend and I wouldn't recommend depending on how you are. Yeah, honestly. But no, it's because though, like you can't close any doors until you know that door is meant to be closed.
That's good.
And for you, if that's like God closing that door for you, if that's like you just have people in your life that will make that clear, that's if the door just closes on you without you like knowing it or being ready for it. And you're like, okay, well, I just have to accept this. You know what I mean? And so I pursued both options. I had an interview with a job up there. And then I was in more talks about doing it here. And it kind of came to a point where it was like, okay, now's the time. Like, you have to make your decision. We support you either way, but we have to know what we're going to do.
So did Casey offer it to you?
Not necessarily, but I will say, I feel like that's where it was headed.
Okay.
So at this point I had a phone call that I thought went well. And the next step was like to go up there, tour the station, meet the team, kind of like get a vibe for what was going on. At the same time though, I'm being offered this full-time hosting gig that I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do.
Right. Which is like the really big step into what would make sense.
Yeah. Just a huge step at the time. And so I obviously end up emailing Kansas. I think I emailed or called, I don't remember, but I contacted them and I was just like, I don't think this makes sense at this time. I so appreciate you even considering me, but I got a really cool opportunity that I don't think I can turn down here in Springfield. And then obviously accepted the job and we moved on from there. But what's crazy is two things about that. One, going back to the point of like, my boss took a chance on me again, you know, but also furthermore, what's crazy that I left out earlier, and this is one of my favorite things to share, is that I remember the day before I moved back to Springfield to start the job, I was in my room at my mom's house with my wife.
Before the executive producer job.
Before I had just started producing on Ozarks Live. Yeah. So before I moved back, like the 6 weeks I was at home, when I moved back to KC, even though I really didn't move back. Yeah. I remember I just sat there and I like full blown like emotional breakdown, anxiety attack, whatever you want to call it, like in my wife's arms for 30 minutes, just like nonstop, because I was so scared of, one, I was making the wrong choice, and two, like just not knowing, like I said, just going back to that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, and not to get too preachy, but it was like,
no, come on, Blake. I mean,
come on, God. No.
Because this is real. Like that. This is not. I think the reason why I appreciate this is because I feel like I am going through some of this in my own way, and I know there are people where like this is real, where it's like I don't know where I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. People like straight up like this is real. So keep it going.
It is, and so it's like I just remember having this like hugely emotional moment and just being so unsure of what was next and being so scared. And I remember like being so excited but so scared to even walk in the building on my first day, because I was like, I just have no idea what I'm getting myself into. Like, I completely ruled out Springfield, which like at the time, can I say that I like would have changed that looking back? Probably not, because like for those that get it, like when you're here in Springfield and you're not from here, like everyone's ready to get out by the time graduation comes.
Spring Vegas is a good time, but also we're like, how are we still here?
It's like the epitome of like, I'm here for a good time, but not a long time. You know what I'm saying?
No, seriously. We love Springfield, but we're also like,
Yeah. And so I just remember like when I was crying to my wife that day, I just was like, I really hope, I don't remember if I said it out loud or I was just thinking it, but I just remember being like, I really hope something happens or God shows up in a way that makes me think like, okay, this is really what I'm going to Springfield for a reason.
Right.
And there's a reason I'm going back there when I completely ruled this place out. And for me and for, I guess, my life, like I fully believe that a year later, it was like getting that hosting gig is why it took me there in the first place.
That's
you know?
Good.
And that's what's so cool is like in life, sometimes it's like opportunities come about and it's maybe not exactly what you're wanting to start, but it's a stepping stone, you know? And it works out so well because like there's a plan made out for you, you know?
That's good.
And that like rocked my world, honestly, because I was, like I said, I was just so distraught about going back. And like I said, 9 months later, I was distraught about staying.
Yeah.
But then I got offered this hosting gig and I'm like, dang, you know?
Yeah.
And now I look back and I've been hosting the show full time for almost 2 years.
Woo! Finger slips again. I'm just kidding.
No, but I've been hosting the show for almost 2 years.
That's awesome.
And like, I just can't imagine like the last 2 years being any different professionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I have gotten to do so many things, interview so many people and talk about so many topics that mean a lot to me, whether it be serious or not, that I never thought at 25 years old, like I would be doing.
That's good.
You know?
That's good.
And like that is what's crazy. And that's what's crazy about like, not to jump ahead too much, but like I don't really necessarily know like what my life looks like, because none of us do. And I really, like I've always said, like I love TV, but I don't know if it's forever, because like we don't know if anything's forever, right? But I'm like, regardless, like I've had such a cool start to my career and no one can take that away from me.
That's right.
You know, like it's been so good and I've worked with really good people. And like I said, not everyone's as lucky as like I've been, but I had a really good boss the last few years as well, you know, and she's still my boss. I still work there, but no, she's been amazing. And I've had some really good mentors. And like the other thing I would say is like, it may seem silly at first, but like if you like your job and you see yourself there for even just a little bit, like invest your time into obviously like community and friends, but also invest your time into the people that have been there.
Yeah.
Because if they see your passion and see like your grit and your want to do more and do better, they will invest in you back.
100%.
And that's what I've loved too, is like there have been some people that have spent some of them their entire careers at Color 10, and like just getting to like jive with them and talk with them and like get feedback from them has meant the world to me, because we're not all that fortunate to get that feedback from people who have been doing this and who are well respected and well loved. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Like I even remember, it used to make me mad, which is funny, but I remember there was like when I was starting out with like my reviews, or like maybe like I guess the other thing I forgot is like the year I was doing the reviews and hosting, producing, I would also do like guest hosting every once in a while. So like what you came to do with me, I would do just like, you know, every 3 months or so, like nothing, It wasn't like a recurring thing. Anyway, but some of the hosts at the time would like give me feedback. And sometimes
That's
like,
good.
sometimes in the moment, it kind of like annoys you, you know, because you don't want to hear it. But like looking back, I'm like, that was so good. That was so helpful, because those are things that keep with me now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of thing is like those people are the people that know the business. They've worked through different general managers. They've worked through different management. They've worked with different co-hosts. They've worked, you know, with producers under them that have been different. And so it's like, they are the people that have the knowledge, you know?
Good.
So it's like, don't give up on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, not to like, I don't know, talk too highly of myself, I guess, but it's like, that's one thing I've really tried to cherish is like relationships with people that I've been doing it for a long time that I know will have my back and also are like in it for my best interest, but also friend those people who are, you know, who are my age and who I want community with and those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Blake has just hit so many nails on the head, because I feel like uncertainty has been a big thing in my own life, and I'm not sharing, you know, with the podcast, but even jobs I've had, like why did I work for a manufacturing company? I still get dinners with my bosses because I love them, and people take a chance on you. And it's just like, I think those moments of like waiting and being really unsure, like there's moments this past year where I have cried out to God and I'm like genuinely been like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And even at the podcast party, I was like, thank God for every time he said no.
Yeah.
I mean, there were guys I wanted, jobs I wanted, things where I'm like, ugh, I don't want any of that now, you know? And
those
I'm like,
are scary, but they're good and they're important.
Yes.
And that is like a really hard lesson, I think, to learn. And it doesn't mean that like any of us are
like you're less loved or anything like that.
But I was going to say too, even it doesn't mean that like the next time you get to know it's going to be easy. Yeah. But I think like learning to like over time kind of process that in a more healthy way maybe. And like learning that sometimes no's are meant to be for a reason. I think that's just like such a, not better way to live life. We're all living our life in our own ways.
Right.
But like, it's just a healthy mindset, you know?
And I think that waiting season, like I know in my own life, I do feel like I am in a waiting season. And I've seen the thing that God has done just in this period. And I'm like, wow, if I would have gotten what I wanted, not like this would not have happened. Like this would. So a lot of times the waiting season is like the time where it's like, okay, like put up or shut up. Like it's like grit time. Like you got to work hard and push through because maybe he's developing you.
Yeah. Waiting season. I love that, because here's the other thing is, so I told you I applied to all those jobs leading up to graduation, right? Well, the year before, so I like every program is different, whatever. But at MSU, like when you are getting a journalism degree, you have to have one semester's worth. There's so many credit hours worth, whatever it is, of an internship, right? That's a part of it.
You too. Go Valor.
And I had such high ambitions for what I wanted that to look like. And what's funny is you back up 1 year of graduation. That was 2020. 2020 was obviously when COVID hit. And so that summer of 2020 is when I wanted to do an internship. And my goal was to go to New York, LA, Chicago, one of these big markets, and just work for a really cool company, or intern, I guess, for a cool company. And what's crazy is COVID hit, right? So all these internships that I was like, I don't know if I'll get these, but it'd be nice to at least interview. I didn't even get to interview for any of them.
Yeah.
Everything got shut down. Every internship program got canceled. And so I ended up doing an internship that I won't get into because I was kind of so on it. I liked it, I will say. Oh, no, actually, no, let me get into it, because here's the thing.
Okay.
I did like it, but sometimes like pursuing opportunities are good, even when you are not sure about them, because sometimes it gives you an open or closed door.
That's good.
So I had interned for a magazine, And I loved the way it was run. It was very business minded. I loved the person I worked directly under. But I was like, okay, I realized through this semester, like I'm not meant to work for a magazine. Like it's just not my speed. It's not my jam.
Yeah.
I loved it. Granted, I will say COVID times, that's like the buzzword right now. But, so it was all virtual. And like,
oh, really?
Yeah. And so at the time, it just wasn't for me. And so I think like, had I been able to go into the office, it would have been a better experience. But that was on them. That was on the world, whatever.
Right.
But anyway, I say all that to say that it's funny because I was so mad at the world and life that like I didn't get to do this cool internship I dreamed of. And then I was so mad at the world and life that like I didn't have a job by graduation. And then I was so mad at the world and life that like God was taking me right back to Springfield, even though I just moved. Like I'm like, homie, I literally got out of my apartment. I got rid of all my stuff. What are we doing?
He said, I'm making it something new for you.
No, literally. And that's the thing is like you go through all of that to be here now.
Yeah.
You know? Like God did all that so I could be on your podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but also I never thought that I would be in Springfield this long.
No.
Genuinely. Like professors, I'll like run into them at Aldi. Shout out Aldi. But they'll be like, what are you still doing here in 9 degrees? And I'm like, dog, I don't know. I'm like,
Isn't it crazy though?
9 degrees?
Isn't it crazy though that sometimes in life, like we pursue, I don't want to say smaller opportunities because that sounds bad, but like something along those lines because something bigger is coming out of it.
Yeah. And I can feel it, you know, and it's like, I don't know what God's doing in my life or like with the podcast, but being like at the point right now where I don't even have to like look for guests, like they just fall in my lap. I mean, obviously like, you know, we've had like in the pipeline for a minute, but it's just like, people are like, oh, here, this and this. I mean, even like, you know, Billy, Foodist, like all the things I don't have to
wait, like our shout out 417 Foodist. We love Billy Dove around here.
But I used to like be cold calling out here, you know, and now I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're a good fit.
Right. No, but what I was going to say is like, it's funny because I feel like often we see these like patterns in our lives, you know? And for me, it's like, I went like going back to a story earlier with like my whole trying to apply to colleges and trying to figure out what I was going to do. For a while, I was like, I don't know, maybe a bigger school's for me, but then it wasn't. And I couldn't really figure out why. And it was weird because going to Missouri State, I mentioned like how plugged in I got. And I did all these, like, I had all these really cool opportunities that I feel like I worked for, but a lot of really cool opportunities that kind of like came my way and I ended up getting. And I was like, man, like once I graduated, I was like, I figured it out. Like if I had gone to a bigger university, I would not have done half the things I got to do here. I also got to study away in college, which was so cool. And I'm like, so cool. That financially and like my background, my upbringing, that would not have been an option for me, you know? And you look at now, like, same thing with working here in this market is like, there are a lot of days where I'm like mad at the world that I work in Springfield. But then I think I'm like, okay, but also in the last year and a half, the amount of like people that I used to watch as a kid growing up that I like loved and like would dream of talking to, I've talked to.
That's so
and it's
cool.
because I stayed in this smaller market to pursue those opportunities. And we can, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, because if I had jumped to one of these big city markets right after school, I would have drowned. I would have literally drowned, and I still to this day would not have like gotten to do half the interviews that I've gotten to do. And that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you just have to pursue those like unwanted opportunities almost, you know, or undesired opportunities.
No, I second you on that because I think about even the podcast, like one, so thankful for like for you and like going on Ozarks Live, but I've been on like 99.5 KDI as a host and also like as a segment and just like even the podcast parties, like in a bigger city. Oh my gosh, I could not afford like photographers or venues, you know, and things like that. And here it's like, well, connections, they have your back. Yeah,
like, I was
trade
gonna say
work.
that too. Springfield, like to give it a pro since I've been giving a lot of cons to it. Springfield is very, very community based. And it's really funny because you meet one person that connects you with another person. All of a sudden you have a network of 10 people that you never would have had. And I'm sure that works in other cities too, but I think it takes a lot longer to get to those connections. Whereas here you find that one person a lot quicker and then you have this network of people and it's amazing, you know?
People are so nice where you can literally slide on LinkedIn. I mean, not like that, but you can be like, hey, you want to get coffee? I actually am kind of bad. I feel bad because a lot of girls have been like, can we get coffee? And I'm like, yes. And then I never like, I just kind of fall off.
Yeah,
and
I actually had like a MSU student. I don't know if he was in journalism, but he did that to me too. And he was like, hey, I think it's really cool what you do. Like, can we get coffee or something? And I was like, yeah. And then I never did. Well, so I'm sorry about that.
And I'm like, yes, shoot your shot. But honestly, I'm like better at responding on Instagram. But keep shooting. I mean, like, keep shooting. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Apple like Haynes TV. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Cash Money Morgan. No, Blake and I are vibing. Okay, so we talked a lot. Like, we've talked some deep stuff, honestly. Like, you already got chapel credit. You already have career advice.
No,
like,
literally.
all the things.
Like, honestly, if you're still here, thank you.
Thank you. I know. We gotta, like, we can't go too crazy long. But let's actually do a little bit, like, girly pop stuff a little bit.
Hit me with it.
So first, Super Bowl was this past weekend, literally yesterday.
It was yesterday, our
Taylor
time, yeah.
Bowl. Yeah. And,
Taylor Bowl,
we need to talk about it because obviously I'm in Packer apparel. I'm a Packer fan. I have like a crush on one of the players on the team.
Well, that's...
I'm not gonna say his name, but like
Shoot your shot, though.
I don't know. Hey, Zane Anderson.
Hey, Zane, if you're listening.
But okay. So I mean, we'll just briefly touch on it, whatever. But like Taylor and Travis, it looks really organic. But I was thinking about it today, and I was like really thinking about it, and like from a marketing standpoint, like I'm in marketing. I think Travis's team, like it started off with him going to her concert and then he went on his podcast and was like, oh, I have a bracelet for you. In my mind, I'm like, his team was, probably pushing like, bro, she's super huge right now. Like you should go, which makes sense from a marketing standpoint. Like, why would you not? So I do think, her seeing the podcast, like being interested, like, yeah, that feels organic. But I was looking at some numbers and metrics and like the amount of money the NFL has brought in this year in terms of views and also just money is astronomical. And that's not necessarily their fault, but also do I think, in terms of like reality shows and all of that, do I think it's 100% organic and normal? Do I personally think engagement is on the way? No, I do not. I think I don't want to be a hater, but I am from Green Bay. So it's not like, I don't love the Chiefs. I don't hate the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I don't think it's endgame. I do think it's a bit of, I think they like each other for sure, but I do think it's a bit of like, it makes sense. It's like an arranged marriage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's a fun thing for them. I don't know. I go really back and forth on how I feel about it because here's the thing. Like, first of all, people are suspicious because, like, publicly there was like kind of a start date, right? But there's a lot of suspicion that it started before it was ever public because of certain things that, like, I want to say it's like things that Jason, his brother, and his wife Kylie have said about it.
Yeah, that's her name.
Like, they've alluded to like it may have started before we thought it did, right? So I don't know. At first, I was really skeptical. Like that first game she showed up, I was like, "Oh, this is all."
I was there on accident.
You were?
Yes.
Like in the box with her? No, I'm just kidding.
Shut your face. No, I hate the Bears. So I was like, "Oh, let's go to Chiefs game that's against the Bears." And then they were like, "T Swift is here," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then she was like in the box across.
She was literally there.
It was like the cheapest Taylor Swift ticket I've ever had.
Honestly, I believe it though. No, but when I saw her there, I was like, "Oh, this is all just a bit." Like I literally was like, "Okay, they're friends." Like. Whatever, they're just like doing each other solids. And then it was like, okay, she started showing up more games. And then he flew out to Argentina or whatever it was to her show. And I was like, nah, I'm kind of confused. And then it's like, AFC champs and Super Bowl champs, we see her run down to the fields after and they're like smooching it up. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know. What I think is really interesting about it is that their types based off history don't make sense for each other. Don't make
sense at all. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's very interesting, but I'm like, I don't know. They're in their they're both like around 31. The same age in their mid 30s.
Right? 31, 33?
He's like 34.
Okay.
And I think she's around the same age. I think she's like 32, 34, somewhere in there. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're a little bit older, a little bit wiser now than like maybe just like being 20 somethings, and like trying to figure out the world. Not saying you have your world figured out in 30s either.
And that's why I think it's so hard for people because it's like, yes, it is this cute little love story, but then like the amount of money and like crap it's bringing in, I think it's just like so hard to like fathom that. It's like an organic, fun, fluff thing.
I know. I could talk about the relationship all day, so I won't. But I was going to say, with like the stats and like what you said, it's like they're both doing for each other essentially in their worlds is I don't remember who told me this, but Having Connections, a TV station, LOL.
Right.
Someone told me that like the most viewed area from the Grammys was Kansas City, which is really interesting when you think about it because Taylor was there and she was very involved and people knew she was going to be there and she announced her album and it was this whole thing. And so I'm like, you have to think there's a correlation there, like it's like if you look back to last Grammys, I bet that wasn't the case, I don't know that for sure. Don't fact check me, but
like, okay, Missouri.
But but okay, come on, Kansas City. So it's interesting for sure.
For sure. And I mean, obviously, what like, and I know, we're just like out here. And
but I will say I'm all about it. Like I am very for them. So if they are in game, if they do end up married, like good for them. Who are we to judge?
Yeah,
Who really
and like
cares?
I said, I care about Jordan Love. So I don't know. That's the only love I would be caring about.
Hey.
No, I'm playing. Okay, well, I know we're like running out of time here.
No, we're not. There's not a time constraint.
Oh my gosh. But let's just dive in a little bit to, how did you meet your wife?
Yes.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
what's the line you use? You're like, hey, I'm going to be on TV someday. Like,
No. Do you want to know how we got close? This is actually really funny to me.
So
it wasn't really a pickup line. So here's the thing. So my wife and I went to the same high school, but we were not high school sweethearts because we were both.
You're like, she's actually my bully. No, I'm just kidding.
Can you imagine? No, before we.
Like me and Pilot Pete. I'm just kidding.
No, literally though. Yes. Use the right button.
Thanks.
No, but so we had both kind of been in like other relationships most of high school, but we had a lot of mutual friends, and then it was, I guess, like right after I'd graduated high school, my wife and I were friends with like this kind of, I guess, friend group, if you will, and we both were the only two not invited to this thing they did on Memorial Day, I think, and
it's like the most random holiday to like have a shindig.
Well, no, it's not, because it was Memorial Day, so it was like this girl,
a swim situation.
Yeah, this girl had like a dock on a lake, whatever type thing, right? And like my wife and I weren't invited, but like all our mutual friends were.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? This is so silly. Like, let's hang out. So we hang out, and that's kind of like where our friendship just budded. We got really close that entire summer. By the end of that summer, like, I mean, I had been out of a relationship, but she was fully out of a relationship that she was in. And so at the time we were like, just like great friends, honestly. What's crazy is that I was headed off to college because, like I said, I'm a year older. And so I was like, I don't know where this goes. Like, I'm about to be 2.5 hours away nonstop.
Trying to like Troy Bolton some like,
right.
I gotta go my own way.
No, I literally gotta go my own way though. No. So my wife and I got really close. We didn't make anything official though. And we spent my entire...
Hold on. I'm sorry. So you didn't make anything official. So you guys were just like talking for a lot of months?
Well, okay. The summer we were just friends.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I left for school, and like the 3 last weeks of summer or whatever it was leading up to college, we hung out like every day. Definitely flirty vibes, definitely feelings there.
You both like knew.
Right, but definitely not trying to like do too much with it, because again, it was that fear of the unknown. Like neither of us had any idea what was coming next. And so to make a long story short, we spent the whole first semester I'm at college like going back and forth figuring our stuff out. So like we were like, I got home for Labor Day, asked her to be my girlfriend, she said yes. Then we broke up like 3 weeks later just because there was like a lot of like messy stuff that doesn't matter kind of involved. Nothing bad. It was just like we were both immature and stupid, right? And then a few weeks later, she surprised me on like an off day they had, came down here. Like literally I was so shocked because she like didn't really come down to visit a lot, which was fine. It just like was what it was. And so she came down and I was like, what in the world? And so that was like kind of the pivotal day. It was like, it was in October or something. And then there was just like a huge turnaround, or November, I don't know, whatever. So there was just like a huge turnaround for us. And then January 1st of 2018, we made it official.
Wow.
So we just hit 6 years of like being together officially. And then
that's amazing.
Yeah. And then the day after she graduated, I proposed.
Wow.
Graduated.
You were like, I'm gonna let you have your moment.
Yeah, and I should clarify because we were just talking about high school. Graduated college, by the way.
Wow. That's some evangel type thing right there.
I was set. I was like, it's been so long.
Yeah.
But I wanted to wait. Like we were in no rush to get married. We didn't want to get married. Like everyone's on their own journey. Like I was saying,
right.
We were in no rush to get married in college. That did not make sense for us in like our lives. But I was ready. I was like, okay, after she's out, like now we're both adults. Like for me, and this is different for everyone, but it was kind of this like mental crossroads of like, okay, we're kind of at the point where it's either like,
what are we doing here?
Yeah. It's kind of like, okay, I'm either going to propose or like we're not going to be together.
Yeah.
Because it's like we either need to make that next step or we need to like just not do this. And it's not that I felt pressurized by like, okay, I either have to propose or we're not going to be together, because that was not the case. And honest to God, I think if I hadn't proposed at that time and we kept going, I don't think we would have like broken up per se. Like I think there might have been a like ultimatum or deadline at some point. Who knows? Who's to say? Because it never happened. But yeah, I literally proposed.
It's like love is blind.
Love is blind. No,
I'm playing.
But no, I literally proposed the day her and my sister are the same age. So this is why I did it, because both our entire families were in town.
Wow.
And so
okay,
I had it planned.
sense.
Everyone knew. She had no idea. She had no idea. Even after she told me, she was so surprised, which was really funny to me because I feel like there was a lot of ways to know. But anyway, so yeah, I literally.
She had like the perfect dress, and the nails were done, and the hair and everything.
Her and my sister graduated that Friday. We had like a big thing that Friday night, and Saturday morning, I told her to meet me at this at the Mizumoto Japanese stroll garden here in town. And I proposed, and then we came back, and our families were at this like huge Airbnb that was rented, and we all celebrated with like our families and close friends, and it was really awesome. And then we just got married a few months ago, so we're newlyweds.
Yeah, it's like Blake knew I was gonna hit the button.
I know. I was like looking down at the soundboard. I'm like, come on.
Honestly, he's like, are you gonna hit it?
No, like, come on, this is awkward. No. But yeah, so we got married on September 30th. What's this year? 24. So 23.
23.
Time's hard. But yeah, September 30th, 23. It was amazing. And yeah, now we're just chilling, living our lives. We had a dog last summer.
What's the number one piece of marriage advice you had?
Ooh, that's
he was
good.
like, that's like not your alley.
No. I would just say.
Look, and I should not be allowed a podcast. Like,
no, we should. I think this is great.
I know it is great, but I'm like, we have to like. At some point, we could talk all night.
You can make part 1, part 2.
Part 1, part 2.
But no, my biggest advice, honestly, would just be like, you have to continue to prioritize each other and show up for each other.
Yep, that's good.
My wife and I have both changed a lot since we first met at 18 and 17. We're 25 and 23 now, and like life has just changed a lot. We've dealt with a lot within like our families and our jobs and school and friendship changes and city changes and just all kinds of like crazy good things. And, you know, what's crazy too is when you're with someone for this, I say this long, but for like any amount of time, it's like over time things change, and some like that are really fun and some that are just like a new journey you have to take on, you know. Like I will say I feel like my mental health has not been like the best since I graduated college, and I like my wife is just such a champion of that.
That's awesome.
And has showed up for me, and like there are some days where my anxiety just like rules my world. And my wife has like never shamed me for it. Never, I feel like emotional. She's like never made me feel less than. She has never questioned it. She has always just been like nothing but supportive and encouraging, you know, and always been encouraging about my job, always been encouraging about being nervous for interviews or, you know, just some like certain work situations, whatever that looks like. But like, she does all that for me, and you have to show up for the other person too. Yeah. You know, like I know just the specific things that my wife needs on a day-to-day, but I also know like how my wife tends to her friends and tends to the people that she really loves. So I know that like if they're going through something, my wife's feeling it too. Like you have to show up for that.
That awareness. And I'm like, I have anxiety. Mine is more so like circumstantial, but I also have ADHD. And I think for so long people would be like, man, Morgan, you're a bad friend because you can't remember stuff. And I'm like, well, actually this stuff, not like doesn't matter to me, but it's just like, I can't remember what you eat every day for lunch because it's just not important to me. You know, and like anxiety, like for me, people go like, oh, like you block people, like you have boundaries. And I'm like, look, forgiveness is between me and God. If I have to like block someone, it doesn't mean I hate them. It means that like this situation gives me anxiety, which turns into me puking. So for me, like I have to be really firm about my boundaries.
I am such an advocate for like, you have to protect yourself. I don't care what anyone says. You have to know how to protect yourself. And like, it's all about self-preservation, right? And so if there is something that friends or people that don't know you as well don't necessarily agree with because you are protecting yourself, you don't have to explain that or apologize to anyone about that. You just have to do what's best for you. And
we're actually going to do a mini series here soon about how the mental affects the physical, because it really does go hand in hand. And it just, so I think it's awesome that like you're having an example of like you in a marriage with a partner where you guys are respecting not only like your physical needs, but like your mental needs of like, hey, this is, cause that's big. Just being like, hey, look, I don't want to talk right now. I just need you to hear me, you know, and stuff like that.
Here's what I'll say. Not that I know everything about dating, cause I definitely don't. And we're still like working on things always, right? Like you always have to work on your marriage, but, you just have to like continue to show up and love each other, but also like that's why the important conversations are good to have early on as well. Like that was one reason I never doubted that my wife was the one, is because early on, like we just aligned. We aligned morally, we aligned socially, we saw the world in a lot of the same ways. We had a lot of, maybe not same career goals, but just like kind of life goals, places we wanted to be, places we wanted to see, things we wanted to do, you know? And it's funny because people, I think, sometimes don't realize how important that is, because now 6 years later, I'm like, that's why I know that she's never going to judge me for these things I'm going through, and I won't judge her because we had these conversations 6 years ago. So I know how we feel about these, you know? That's good. Like you have to have those conversations, because like dating is one thing, marriage is a whole other ball game, you know? Like you have to show up for each other and you have to prioritize each other. So,
and it's hard when we're in our 20s. Like I'm someone that is single, and it's like, oh, you want like the hot guy that makes you laugh and he's cute. But then also it's like, okay, but like religion's important to you, or like family's important to you.
Don't
and
give
like
up on what's important to you.
And this. Exactly. And it's like, you have to like
stand strong.
As much as you're like lonely and like whatever your situation, it's like, you have to think logistically, no matter like how much that like sucks, where it's like, okay, is this person actually going to show up for me in the way that I would show up for them? For sure.
Be open-minded, but stand strong on what you believe. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Put that on Pinterest.
Hey.
Put that on a t-shirt, print it off. We're gonna have to do a 2-part series, because you know I didn't realize how much Blake and I have
also,
to really
can I just say one more thing about the marriage dating thing?
Yeah, say it.
Also, just like don't give up on your partner.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing my wife and I kind of realized like later on in our relationship, is we're like, you know, every year you hit in dating, you're like, man, this is crazy. We've, you know, been together this long, and it's not a negative thing. It's like, wow, we've really like stood the test for this long. And in today's society, it's like people break up so easily. People, you know, end relationships so easily. And it's funny because we've definitely had our fair share of moments where we're like, yeah, that would have made sense if we both just would have left at that moment, but we kept choosing each other.
That's good. That's good.
Again, you have to have boundaries. I think you have to have like those things you say early on of like, hey, if this happens, like I'm out, or like that's not for me. So like we're not going to do that, you know?
Deal breakers, if you will.
Deal breakers for sure. But it's like you just, I don't know. You just have to keep doing that.
No, it's good.
know?
And I think like a big Christian mentor in my life said something to me once. They were like, it's okay if like there's days where you guys aren't feeling it, but make sure you're both not feeling it on the same day.
Well,
you know, because like one person can carry the relationship while you're going through a tough season, and the other person back. But like at the end of the day, it's like you want to be.
And it's like, man, unconditional love is real, right? Like you want to be like wholeheartedly in love with someone and feel all the butterflies and feel all the things and have these fairy tale moments that you dream of as like little kids, right? But at the end of the day, life gets hard, and like we all are on our own journey, and we're all dealing with our own stuff, and like you have to have that unconditional love, because there's going to be days where you don't like the person you're with.
That's right.
Right. And it's not because you're like, man, I hate you, or I wish you weren't the person you were. That's not what it is. All sometimes they're just like, man, you did something that I really don't like. But 10 minutes later they do something else, and you're like, no, but that's why I love you, and that's why I'm with you, and that's why I'm married to you, you know? And that's what it is. Like that's the unconditional love aspect of it.
And I'm somebody that likes to, I'm bad. Like everyone's got their own toxic trait, right? Like I'm a fester. I'm gonna let that boil up. I'm gonna like do a little silent treatment, but it's like, no, Morgan, just be an adult and say, hey, look, this hurt my feelings.
Yeah. And you know? Also I will say too, because I get a lot of flack from like the people in my life about this, about like dating advice, relationship advice. I will say it is not lost on me that dating in your 20s is hard. I feel very, very lucky that I was able to find my person at a young age, and that we're married at 25 and 23. And I absolutely love the person I'm doing life with. Like I love our life. It's everything I've dreamed of. It's great. It's a God-given thing. But I know dating's hard, right? And like I will say, like I always laugh, I've never been on a dating app, because that was like after my time, like my time of, you know, being in like whatever. Yeah. And so I know it's hard. And so it's like we say this. Yeah, it's like, so we say all this, but it's like that doesn't mean that you have to have it all figured out right now. And that's not saying that I'm not saying that I know it's not hard, because I know it is, you know?
And I think for me, this is about like a really weird opinion, but like I actually really love being single. I just think I'm in the wrong city for it.
No, like that's great.
Like the way that I'm like, I wish I could just go on like 5 stupid dates and like meet different dudes and like experience different people. Like I want to do that. I'm just not in the right place for that, you know?
Yeah. And that some people, like I just see this even in my own life with like friends, family, whatever, like some people are just better at being single than others, which sounds so stupid, but it's like, I don't know if it's like a mental capacity thing. I don't know if it's like where like certain seasons of life people are in.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like self-discovery. I'm not sure what that looks like, or what the necessary reasons are behind that, but everyone deals with singleness differently. And I think it is good to embrace it, but I think it is also good to realize that like some people like are struggling, and maybe they feel like they've been single too long and they're looking for that person. Because I've had people in my life at our age, by the way, who are like, maybe I'm just not meant to be with someone. And I'm like, you're 24,
like, you're
25.
24,
Yeah.
like,
I'm like, calm down. There's the rest of your life to live, you know?
Yeah.
So
there's more area codes than the 417. So.
Hey.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to do a two-part series because Blake and I have just not even scratched the surface, but we're already at that like hour and a half mark.
I love it.
And I'm like, I know my dad listening to the whole thing, and then he's probably like, so we'll just end part one with this. Blake, can you go ahead and give us your favorite quote, favorite song, and what you want your legacy to be?
Oh, okay. Oh man, okay, this is harder than I expected.
Why? I thought you were like locked in. I thought you were like ready to go.
My favorite song,
but it can not like, it can be like what you're listening to right now. Like it doesn't have to be like all time.
Okay, I'll say right now, there's so many. I like my brain just went to so many places when you asked me that. My favorite song right now is probably, okay, so I'm a huge like Noah Kahan stan. He is like the man to me.
Yes.
If you haven't listened to him, you probably know him from Sixth Season, but he has way better music than that. So don't give up on Sixth Season. Listen beyond that.
It's so, but Sixth Season is good.
No, it's good, but like there's something better, you know?
Okay.
So one of my favorite ones that just like sticks with me is Orange Juice by Noah Kahan.
Okay.
It's a little vibe. You could argue it's maybe a love song, maybe not a love song, but it's definitely about like a romantic interest, and like spending time with them, maybe them coming over. But it's real good. His music just makes you feel all the things. And I really respect him as an artist, and I hope he continues to blow up.
100%. Okay.
Favorite quote? That part is hard.
Again, it can be deep, or it can be, you know, something we've just said off the top of our head tonight. Like it doesn't have to be crazy. So.
So I actually have this tattooed on my body, which is like so random, but it's Philippians 4:6, which I'm probably gonna butcher this because I got this tattoo a long time ago. But it's
we're a big tattoo place around here.
I want more. I need more.
Not you talk, not me.
Oh, okay. Anyway, no, but Philippians 4:6 is do not be anxious in anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests unto God.
That's good.
Yeah, and I got that. I've talked about anxiety a little bit, right? And I got that when I was 18. I was so excited. You know what's so funny, right? Is so many parents out there are so against the tats.
I know.
My mom, though, shout out to Amy. Shout out Amy.
Okay, Amy.
Amy was about it, and she was like, Amy. Bro, when you turn 18, if you want one, I'll buy it. So she did. Oh my gosh,
Amy, that is major slay, because my parents still are like half on the boat and they're half not.
And so Philippians 4:6 is not the first one I got, but so she paid for a different one. But anyway, so I got all mine within a year though.
The butterfly tat like on the back. I'm just kidding.
No, I don't have a butterfly tat on the back. But no, so
I'm playing. That's what you do when you're 18.
No, it's cool though, because that verse became so meaningful to me and kind of like my journey with my mental health and figuring out like what in the heck this thing called anxiety is, and like how to cope with that, and just like realizing how that affects your day-to-day life, right? And when that verse was like showed to me, and I don't even remember, I don't know if it was just like a church service or a Bible study or whatever it was, but it stood with me, you know, and that was just like really, really impactful to me. So that would be that. I wish I had like a fun quote, but like I really don't. I don't know.
No, that's good.
I've never like been someone that remembers quotes. You know, some people just like have them. I don't.
I'm that person where it's like Helen Keller. The only thing scarier than being blind is having sight, no vision. You know, just like.
I do love the one.
I'm like, but is she real though? I'm just kind
of conspiracy. I heard this recently too.
I'm sorry.
No, but also I guess in a joking way, the one I love, since we talk about reality TV so much, and I'm totally gonna butcher this too, but the one, you know, it's like an old scene, but it's the one of like Chris and Kim or Chris and Chloe or something, and like someone's in jail, and she's like, people are dying, and your sister's in jail or whatever it is, and she's like, get it together, stop taking selfies, Kim. Your sister's
going to jail.
Oh, I just love that. I'm like, that's a good one. Yes, no, that one's good. So,
and legacy, what do you want to be remembered as when you're gone? Frolicking in the heavens.
Frolicking in the heavens. That's good. I feel like like my whole thing is, okay, I want to like be remembered as a few different things. Okay. Here's the first thing.
We can have categories. That's fine. I'll allow
okay.
it.
So like, firstly, I want my, like, God willing, potential future children to like remember me and know me as a good dad.
Okay.
That's like
good.
huge to me for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And the people in my life will know what I mean when I say that, but I really want to remember as that. And like, we're not in that season, but like when we are, I'm, like, it's gonna be amazing.
No, I love that. I love that.
And I just hope that I'm able to like step up and like, you know, be the dad that I've always wanted to be. You know what I mean?
I have no doubts.
So I hope that is like a part of it. I guess the other thing would just be like, I know that we talk about celebrity and like pop culture a lot, but like as a journalist, like I just want to, if I stick with this career for my life, which we'll see, right? I just want to be remembered as someone that like told stories that mattered, whether that was like impactful stories or local stories or honestly like celebrity stories, but like from a different angle, you know, like when I interview celebrities, like one of my biggest things I always want to go deeper.
That's
you know?
good. Yeah.
And so I hope that like that's one part of it is like getting people to just like see different sides of stories or like love certain like stories or aspects of, I don't know, celebrity or pop culture or entertainment or whatever that like maybe they never thought they would, and it's because of like an interview that they saw and like questions I asked, you know what I mean?
That's good. Yeah.
So that would be that. And then honestly, lastly, I guess I mean, I've spoken about my wife quite a bit now, but like, I just hope that we have like a really good, strong, loving marriage. And I hope that people remember that, whether it be our friends or our kids or grandkids or whatever, you know, because that's good. Yeah.
I love love.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Blake, for coming on the podcast. Guys, we're going to have a part 2. Maybe it'll be like in a few weeks, though, so we can like let the dust settle, and then we'll come back and we'll be like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. Welcome back. But Blake is so fun. Thanks for like opening up and really being vulnerable on the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
I'm an open book. People can ask me anything. Yeah.
No, and it's refreshing to like have someone, you know, come on here and like be okay with being open. And love that. To my listeners, love you guys. We're in that season 3 vibe right now. You know, hit me up for merch. Hit me up for a compliment or a hug. I don't like physical touch. But yeah, I love you guys. It's a big year, and I think that, you know, whatever God's doing in your life, pursue it. Keep chasing your dreams and keep on keeping up with cash. So, okay, well, we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.